Where's this thing? Right. Yeah, I was just flipping anything here. Right. So, good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning to all of the loyal listeners of the Street 919 FM. As always, thank you for choosing the Street 919 FM as your frequency of choice this Sunday morning, as we take you through the rest of what is known as the morning drive time hour up to 1 o'clock. So, you're tuned into Cooking with Dominic Romain, and I'm your host, of course, Dominic Romain. So, let me say good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Giuseppe. I hope Miss Giuseppe is doing a little better. Good morning to Mr. and Mrs. Regis. Morning, Angie. To Mother Tuna Puna, good morning, Mano. Patsy Edwards, Nicole Caesar, Davia Andrews, good morning. Alison Samuel, Alison Haynes. Good morning to both of you as well. To Louise Matura, my good friend. I know I'm supposed to call you back so long, Louise. My apologies. It's been, yeah. But anyway, so many people to say good morning to. To those of you who will be looking us on Facebook and on YouTube, I think the streams are up or would be up shortly. So you could tune in to us there as well. And to all of you who are listening, wherever you're taking us in, if you're making your way to or from the market, you're preparing Sunday lunch, you're coming from church, whatever it is that you're doing, thank you for choosing the Street 919 FM. Right, it is now 11:17 approximately. So there were two articles that I saw that caught my attention in the last few days. One of them caught my attention this morning, and so I was a bit at odds to decide which one I should address. The first one being an article that appeared in the Sunday Express last week entitled Poor Parenting or PNM Abandonment by one Theodore Lewis, and the other being an article in today's Express, I believe, entitled Keith Rowley's Failed Leadership, and the author of that article is none other than Professor Selwyn Cudjoe. But after some short deliberation and having read Selwyn Cudjoe's article, I thought that I would put that on the back burner and probably touch on it maybe briefly at some point in time during the course of the week, maybe Tuesday or Thursday, because much of his article really is based on the musings and the utterances of one Bernie Jack Craig, who is no stranger to social media, strong supporter of the PDP, but at times it's difficult to determine if she's fish or fowl, because one minute she praising PDP, Farley, Augustine and Watson Duke, and then the next minute she cussing them out because, what she expected from them is not what she's getting. They told you before the election, don't worry, look my number, call us any point in time and we will help you, and now you're calling them, they're not answering their phones, they don't have time for you, telling you schedule an appointment with them, and all of that nonsense, And Cudjoe sought to premise his view that Dr. Rowley's leadership is best described as failed based on the utterances of this individual. But as I said, I'll touch on that later on in the week. Some of you may have familiarized or may be familiar with this article from Theodore Lewis entitled Poor Parenting or PNM Abandonment, and it's in reference to the speech that Dr. Rowley would have given last week at the opening of the St. Clair police station, where he lamented the state of crime in Trinidad and Tobago today and would have sought to attribute some of it, the responsibility for that crime, on poor parenting. And a lot of people have taken issue with that. Anyway, let me just read this article quickly and then I will give my 2 cents on it. The pottery ban rule, coined by columnist Thomas Friedman and popularized by Colin Powell, is that you can't run from what you own. If you break a fragile item while shopping inside the store pottery ban, you have to pay for it. America spent decades in Afghanistan, then ran out in a scramble the other day with people hanging on the wheels of planes on the runway, running away from their mess. The problem with the PNM is that it feels no ownership for Laventille or East Rye River, Sealots, or indeed for the corridor generally, except in an election time when we hear them on the street loudspeakers blaring to the lavway. Manning Post, she want Manning Post, she want Manning Post. Most of the difficulty with crime and youth malaise we see in the country is traceable to PNM constituencies in particular. Really. The East-West Corridor. The people in these communities vote for the PNM in thick and thin. In 1986, when the PNM won just 3 seats in the election, Laventille delivered 1. And yet, when it comes to uplift these constituencies, the PNM turned their backs, heaping scorn on the people there, like calling them poor parents. Now it's Rowley's turn with Manning dead. Rowley saying parenting is the problem. So parenting is the reason why no one who does not live in the East Dry River dares to drive up the hill. It is poor parenting that caused desperados to abandon their iconic panyard a decade ago, to be shuffled annually from space to space in Port of Spain, away from their true home, which sits a quarter of a mile from where I was born. But is the answer poor parenting? Or is it not PNM neglect and abandonment, while they focus on projects such as Chinatown? Lately, I have been looking at the hills of the East Dry River, and as I drive into Port of Spain, and more recently I have driven along the foreshore heading west to Diego Martin, and all I see when I look for housing is decay. I was born on Laventille Hill, where my mother had her shack. In the 1960s, I lived for a period of time with her in Waterhole, Cocorite, where she had built a shack and moved there. And Cocorite remains the same today as then. People are murdered there with impunity. I have not gone up Laventille since 1990. In 1965, Earl Lovelace wrote the prize-winning book, While Gods Are Falling. It was a lament about Laventille, a place that God seemed to have forgotten. He contrasted the precarious shacks up the hill with the communities below, places like Woodbrook and Cascade with their manicured lawns and shrubbery, and wondered why God had turned his back on the people up on the hill. Now we have the PNM turning their backs, Rowley blaming the people for poor parenting skills. But Lovelace was writing in 1965, and here we are in 2022. 57 years on, and the PNM has won every election up there since, and the place continues to fester. In the 1960s, you could go up the hill to the Despers Panyard at night to hear them practice. I have not done that since 1989. Despers cannot practice up there. They have been driven out. The Prime Minister says something is happening between our 9 and 10-year-olds and our 17-year-olds that is causing our society to be what it is. Well, Mr. Prime Minister, according to our Constitution, that looks to me like the age of compulsory schooling. The options are good schools or the remand yard, Mr. Prime Minister. The recent Senate report titled Underperformance of Schools in the Port of Spain and Environs District with respect to performance in terminal examinations found only carnage. Almost all of the denominational schools were under academic watch. No learning taking place in them, no academic pulse to be felt. The most significant building up Laventille Hill is Fatima Church. But the Catholics built Serval in the Labas for children of East Dry River. Black people children, say what? No CIC, no Fatima, no Holy Name or St. Joseph's Convent for them. I have written about the need for a Laventille Renaissance driven by commerce. Laventille people should not have to cross the Dry River to get their basic needs. If a purposeful attempt is made, Laventille people should be able to get all they need, from hops bread to galvanized to shoes to clothing, from one another. The PNM needs to have ideas for the people. Urban renewal. How about Black People Town? Not that now that we have Chinatown. I think that the PNM takes the automatic corridor vote for granted. But in 2010, people voted for the partnership. So it does not have to be automatic. People in the corridor should speak up to the PNM. As to schooling, there is urgent need, based on the Senate report, for a complete overhaul of education in Laventille and on the corridor. It should begin at foundations with good preschools for all children at age 3. The aim should be to have all children reading at 5. I think new arrangements should be made for the management of schools. The denominational schools in the East Dry River and on the corridor as a whole are hopeless. New arrangements are needed that could be community-based. Catholics and Anglicans have run their course and should be removed from the schooling function. Catholics and Anglicans, but not the Hindus, right? Okay. I hear you, Mr. Lewis. They are hopeless. I think that new community-based arrangements are needed for schooling. Many of us will assist in this. I think there's need for an urban renewal project aimed at overhauling housing from Port of Spain back to the hills of Kukurit, and this could generate employment with no concessions made to gangsters. The PNM must stop calling black people names or saying they are not good parents. The PNM must own the problems of their constituents. So says Theodore Lewis. Now, I have no idea who Theodore Lewis is. But what I can glean from this article is that Theodore Lewis is either very clueless or very disingenuous, at the very least. You know, these are the same people who will jump up and tell you, no party owns your vote, right? You could vote for whoever you want. So when I say a PNM house and this and that, and they want to say this is a PNM constituency and a UNC constituency, no party don't own your vote. That's what they say, when it's convenient to make these statements, right? Very, very convenient. And I said that the 2 seats in Tobago was PNM on. PNM holding it now, with the PDP having hopes of taking it. PNM was in charge of the THA for 21 years. Today the PDP is in charge, 14 seats to 1. Yeah? Okay. At no point in time, and those, I don't know. For those of us who would have listened to the Prime Minister's speech last week, Friday or so, not last week, the week before, when he opened the St. Clair police station and he was lamenting the state of crime in the country, I heard a brief part of it because I was on the road at the time. And at no point in time did I hear the Prime Minister allude to any specific incident of crime in any particular area. But I guess coming on the heels, the opening of the St. Clair police station, coming on the heels of that police shooting incident in which 3 young men from, I think, Laventil Silas area unfortunately lost their lives, persons would have assumed that the Prime Minister was speaking to that issue. Erroneously so, but nevertheless, because this individual isn't the only person who has sought to make such claims since that incident occurred, right? But the Prime Minister has overall responsibility for national security. But I continue to make the point, it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that the entities, the state agencies that have responsibility for managing and controlling crime, that they have the resources that they need to do their jobs. And so the construction and the opening of the St. Clair police station was just one example of providing the police service, which is the main entity responsible for crime fighting in this country, with the resources that they need. So they have a spanking new building, so they could work in comfort. The government bought vehicles for them, so there's no issue with respect to that. We heard the situation last week with respect to the body cameras and so on, to avoid, anything untoward taking place with respect to the police and the execution of their duties. And if there is anything untoward taking place, that there could be video footage of it to assist in investigations to determine whether or not any malfeasance took place. But 1,160 cameras purchased, only 451 officers trained to use these cameras, as if that's the responsibility of the government. Now, last I checked, the management of the police service falls to the commissioner and his executive. And where it is, should the Minister of National Security, the Prime Minister, the head of the National Security Council, anybody in government make an effort for direct intervention into the management of the police service, the same people who today want to blame the Prime Minister and blame the Minister of National Security for the state of the crime in the country would jump out themselves to come and see that the government is interfering in the running of an independent institution that is the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Right? Now, coming back to Mr. Theodore. Poor parenting or PNM abandonment. He has chosen the latter. That what is happening, or the crime situation in places like Laventil and Sealots and Beetham, is as a result of PNM abandonment, because apparently the PNM holds the deed to these constituencies, right? And therefore they have a responsibility for these constituencies. But no lament for what is happening in the other constituencies that are not controlled by the PNM, right? So apparently those constituencies have no crime. Those constituencies have no issues. So crime is the only issue facing citizens in this country. Only crime. That's the only thing that we are concerned with, right? There's no poverty. There's no issue with roads. There is no issue with employment. Nothing of the sort, right? So all the UNC-controlled constituencies, apparently according to Mr. Lewis, if we are to, based on what we just read there, they're living in a veritable utopia. So there's nothing to challenge the UNC on, right? So we will only focus on the PNM-controlled constituencies. And I don't know what is this obsession or this infatuation that these people have, that whenever they need to challenge PNM, they always like to refer to Laventille and Beetham and Sealots. And they continue to paint a picture as if all of Laventille and all of Beetham and all of Sealots, so Laventille East, Mova and Laventille West, is only hardship and destitution. All you're seeing, based on what this guy, what I just read for you all from this guy here, is that if you go to Laventille, either one of the two constituencies, anywhere, all you will see is rundown shacks, right? All you will see is old outhouses. All you will see is people suffering, people lining up on the Beetham Highway, waiting to run across the two lanes, risking their lives to jump on the back of garbage trucks every morning so that they could eke out a living to go and support their family. That is all. So for people who don't know where Laventille is, who have never visited Laventille in their whole damn life, and all they know about Laventille is what they hear from people who like to wash them out in Laventille, people like this man who claim that he grew up there, right? So you're lamenting what is happening there, but you don't want to go back up there. What have you done to make a contribution to improving the lot of the people in Laventille that you claim to be so concerned about? Right? And I have made the point before, and I find this is very disingenuous, and people like Mr. Lewis, that there are parts of Laventille where people are living, houses that could rival some that you see in Westmorelands, in Valsine, in San Fernando, in some of the areas that are considered well-to-do. There are lots of people in Laventille who are doing very well. A lot better than some people who live in Chaguanas, in Oropuch, in Tabakit, in Faizabad, in Chaguanas East and Chaguanas West, Separia, right? In St. Augustine, the UNC-controlled constituencies. A lot of people living in Laventille. I have visited parts of Laventille and seen the houses, and I was blown away, because I am saying, well, based on what I have heard people say about Laventille, I was expecting something different, right? But having gone there and seen for myself, and I'm like, but what really going on here? But unfortunately, a picture is painted that if you go to any part of Laventille, East Mova or Laventille West, you need to strap up, put on a bulletproof vest, you need to have combat gear and so on, because as soon as you're driving, you're going to get killed. Right? All the places like Morva and all of these, you come across Lady Young and so on. Apparently, all we know, Laventille is when you reach down and you drive down and you're approaching the flyover there by NP, and you look up on the hill and you see all of these houses so close together. That constitutes all of Laventille. So we will only focus on that and give people the impression that that is all you see. But forget what's on the other side, because it's convenient to focus on that and give people the impression that, look, how much donkey here is, they only vote in PNM and watch. As if the PNM force that, right? The individual, Mr. Lewis here, makes the claim of abandonment on the part of the PNM. The PNM ain't doing nothing for Laventille East, Laventille West, and Beetham and Sealots. I recall when the People's Partnership was in office, an accident took place on the highway down there close to the market. You all remember the off-duty police officer who was driving the Corolla and ran into some people there, and I think a couple children died, and I can't remember if their mother or whatever died. It was a serious accident. And the people of Sealots came out and protested, and they asked the government to give them a walkover. Back then, I think the Minister of Works and Transport was Jack Warner. And they brought all the technocrats and all the engineers from the ministry to come and look at the thing and whatnot. And what they told the people of Sealots? Nah, it's not possible. Well, they can't get a walkover there. We've looked at it. We've assessed it. There's no way we could give you all a walkover there, because in order to put a walkover there, we would have to move these electricity poles and these lines, and we would have to get property from here and all kind of thing, and the amount of money we'd have to spend for that, it can't be done. So what we will do, we will just give you all crossing guards. You know what they call the lollipop people? Those with the stop sign. So when it is you all need to cross, the lollipop people will come out with the sign, the stop sign, and they will stand up in the middle of the highway and stop traffic and let you all cross. That's the best we could do for you. We cannot, there's no way a walkover could be built. This administration came in and within the space of a couple of years built the very same walkover that the People's Partnership, who had all the money, the most energy revenues in this country's history, told them, we can't give volume. It's not possible for us to build that. PNM built it, right? But as neglect. What are you talking about that? Forget that. You have the old Ramband on the Eastern Main Road there. That is, I think, the Laventil Technical Institute or whatever it is, right? That was created to give opportunities for the youth in that particular area who may not be, who may be looking for vocational studies and so on, and who have skills in that area, for them to be able to access that. Whose fault it is that they're not using it? Whose fault is it if they choose instead, when they get up in the morning, to go on the block? If they choose not to find out what are the requirements, what is the criteria in order for me to get in there, right? So it was built for their benefit. But if they're not using it, it's not poor parenting, no. It's PNM neglect. This administration put two swimming pools in those constituencies of Laventil East, Mova, and Laventil West. 2. How many other constituencies, not many, around the country could boast of having swimming pools? Because as the saying goes, idle hands are the devil's workshop. And understanding and recognizing that there is a need for certain facilities within these constituencies to preoccupy the youth so that they wouldn't be idle and basically become the targets of gang members and gangs in these areas, that we would provide them with a viable alternative. But again, whose responsibility is it to ensure that they take up the opportunities that may be offered by the pool? That the possibility exists that one or two or more of these children could actually go, learn to swim, and possibly one day become national athletes, represent Trinidad and Tobago on the international scale in swimming, the likes of George Bovell and his brother Nicholas Bovell and Dylan Carter and Siobhan Cropper and all of these names that we know, right? What is stopping these children in these constituencies that they're always washing them out on from achieving that level of accomplishment as the names that I just called there? Because the facilities have now been there, and as far as I'm aware, systems have been put into place to ensure that the pool is kept in good condition and opportunities are presented to the children there. But we're not talking about that. No. According to Mr. Lewis, the PNM ain't doing nothing for these constituencies, right? He speaks here about, let me see if I get it here. There is need for an urban renewal project aimed at overhauling housing from Port of Spain back to the hills of Cocorite. Apparently, Mr. Lewis has been living under a rock, for the longest while. Rip Van Winkle, he's been asleep for the past 6 years, the past 20 years, because not one but two PNM administrations have made efforts to improve the housing situation in East Dry River, right? Under Patrick Manning, development of the East Port of Spain Development Company or something so. And when efforts were being made to do over the apartments, to tear down and rebuild the apartments on Duncan Street and Nelson Street and all of these different streets and so on. You remember what happened? The UNC came and told them, hey, forget that. Don't let them take all your apartments. They want to tear it down and they're telling all they will tear it down and build it back better and then bring all it back. They lie. They really want to do that, to build high-rise apartments for the 1%. Yes, that's what they want to build it for, but they want to chain all it up. Make sure if they put in all it out and they don't take less than $1 million. Ramesh, telling the people nothing less than $1 million for your apartment that belong to the HDC, that you're owing rent on for donkey years, right? Your rent's supposed to be $100 a month, as the case may be, and years you ain't paying the rent. But you want HDC to come and fix everything that's wrong in the apartment. You're complaining, but you ain't paying your rent $100 a month. Yeah? And when the government came to you and said, look, we've established this entity, this company, and we're going to revitalize Port of Spain. We're paying particular focus on you all. We are setting aside money to develop this area to make it better for you all. But rather than listen to Mr. Manning and the PNM, we go take chain up from the UNC. We want $1 million for your apartment. You have a deed for that? What did Kamala offer here? Here we will sell you the apartment for $100. Yeah? That's what Kamala offered when she was Prime Minister. So buy the apartment for $100. You get a deed for it. And then the HDC is no longer liable for anything to do with repairs and maintenance of these apartments. So when things go wrong, fix it your damn self. Find the money to fix it, because it's no longer HDC property. Right? So the HDC would no longer be responsible for, if at all, for developing the area, tearing down these apartments because that belongs to you all. So if it is that you all want the area revitalized and fixed, you need to sell your apartments. Who buying it? In the condition that it is in now. Who's buying it? So if you want any sort of fixing, fix it yourself. Because you buy it for $100, so shut your mouth and don't complain. That's what Kamala offered. Keith Rowley came back, was it last year or year before, and spoke about the revitalization project for East Port of Spain, which again involved revitalization, urban revitalization, as this Dr. Lewis or Mr. Lewis, whatever the hell his name is advocating for. From Nelson Street, Duncan Street, that whole area, go all the way back up, I think, to somewhere around Pashley Street or something, so in Lavantil there. As far back as there. And what happened? Again, the recalcitrant minority, the UNC, Doug Lyer, come and get some document that they claim that this is what they plan to do and whatnot and stuff, and don't listen to Rowley and them, and they want to take your property and all kind of nonsense. Gone on his program on Facebook and making claims that he read this document, and the document say that they come thing and don't listen to them. They just want to take all your land and take all your property and give it to the 1%, and they will move all your and put all your thing, and they ain't bringing all your back. You'll pay all your next for all your property. Don't listen to them. Every bloody time that the PNM decides that they want to do something for the very same areas that this man, Mr. Lewis, is telling you they abandoned and neglected, the UNC comes and the very same people take chain up. Because they have been led to believe that the PNM is a 1% party. That everything the PNM does is for the benefit of the 1%. Never mind the fact that the evidence will show and demonstrate conclusively that this PNM administration has been far more punitive to the 1% than any other administration in the longest while. That while Kamala was giving away lands to the 1%, lucrative properties, real estate in Chagaramas when she was Prime Minister, that it was this Keith Rowley administration that put all of these 1% owners on notice in the lead up to the 2015 general election. You see all them leases that Kamala given all down there. If we get back into power, we will challenge every single one of them. We will take you all to court to get back the lands down in Chagaramas. And they followed through on that. Right? So when Kamala gave Mr. Aboud 4 acres of land for $1 a year for 30 years for him to build a car park, to lease back to the CDA for $900,000 a month, Keith Rowley didn't do that. It was Keith Rowley who got back that 4 acres of land for you all. But that's a 1%, PNM is a 1% party, ain't? That's what they say. The man who got the land for the water park, same man. 35 acres of land, where the evaluator said that he should be paying $500,000 a month rent, but the PP tell him pay $3,800, and they took him to court. He said, well, if all you want back all your land, no problem, but pay me $100 million, and you could get back your land. Because I already start construction on this thing, and I already have things in place and investments in place for this. So if you want it back, pay me $100 million. That we tell them. This administration took them to court. When the PP refused for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days to outfit government campus downtown, right? To save you, the taxpayer, millions of dollars in rent that they was paying to the same 1%. It was Keith Rowley that came in and outfit government campus. That today, so many buildings that belong to the same 1% that Kamala was feeding, right, are today empty and have been empty for the past 6, 7 years. Not 1 penny in rent collected from the state. 6 to 7 years now they have signs up on the buildings, vacancy, for rent, for sale, no rent collected, right? Because the ministries move out of these buildings and gone into government campus. But the PNM is the 1% party, right? And if it is that they come to you and they tell you they want to fix East Port of Spain, it's because they want to fix it to give it to the 1%, and they take chain up for that. He talks here about the schools on the East-West corridor. The recent Senate report titled Underperformance of Schools in the Port of Spain and Environs District with respect to performance in terminal examinations found only carnage. Almost all of the denominational schools were under academic watch. No learning taking place in them, no academic pulse to be felt. The most significant building up Lavantil is the Fatima Church, right? But the Catholics built serval in the Labas for children of East Dry River. You have so many children. And you see, it's important to highlight this point, right? It's not poor parenting. Some of the captains of industry in this country could boast of having gone to schools like Nelson Street Boys. Arthur Lockjack, who is the chairman of Associated Brands, former chairman of Guardian Holdings. Yeah, he went to Nelson Street Boys. Yeah? But his PNM neglect is why he's so successful to the end. He was the product of a PNM education, the same PNM education that they have all kind of thing to say about. Same luck, Chuck. Yeah, that today he's a multi-millionaire. Own businesses all over the country. And there are so many others. Their names escape me at this point in time. I think, gosh, anyway, I'll get a list of names. But there are so many of them who went to school in the same East Dry River area and today are doing very well. But the same people, but others want to come and tell you today, well, if you're going to Street Boys, forget that. Your only hope is Mukarapo. Your only hope is some junior sec school, and you are condemned to a life of hardship. Forget that. You can't go CIC because you're going Nelson Street Boys. But yet still, I saw, was it last year, a young man who had passed for who was attending Nelson Street Boys, passed for St. Mary's College. His mother's selling on the street, and he sells with her on the street. Yeah? The young man who went to St. Mary's College and then was selling popcorn in order to raise funds so that he could go to university. Where he came from? Huh? What school he went to? Well, you know what they were singing the song and tell you? Well, you know, if it is you put on, you're looking for a job and you put down that you're from Lavantil, you can't get a job. But I know people working in Republic Bank, people working in Guardian Life, people working in Scotia Bank, people working in Royal Bank, who live in Lavantil. Yeah, police officers, fire officers, nurses, all kind of living in East Dry River, living in Lavantil. But no, people like Theodore Lewis want to come and tell you that once you're living in these areas, no hope for you, because the PNM don't care about you. And UNC constituency is doing well. That's the problem. You see, my biggest issue, right, and I've made this point before and it's worth repeating, is that you have people in Lavantil who know that articles like this is pure trash, garbage, rubbish, because they are living proper, decent lives in these areas, but wouldn't come and talk out against articles like this to tell people like Theodore Lewis to put this article where the monkey put the nuts. They wouldn't tell him that. You know, instead they want to keep quiet. And then, well, forget MS, they may know what they're talking about. And because you wouldn't stand up and let people like Theodore Lewis and Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the rest of them in the UNC know that the picture they like to paint about Lavantil and Beetham and Sealats is not what it really is, then they will just continue to do it. Because the people who live in south of the Caroni Bridge, who, as I said, they couldn't even find Lavantil if they go on Waze or Google Maps, always have things to say about Lavantil this and Lavantil that and PNM constituencies and PNM constituencies. He has an issue with Dr. Rowley referencing poor parenting as the reason for the upsurge in crime. I read an article on Facebook just earlier this week. The government's, or the Ministry of Education announced that to assist with, let me get the article here, not the article, the flyer, that to treat with the situation of the poor performance in the most recent installment of SCA. They have a vacation revision program. Starts on Monday, July 18th, that's tomorrow, at 8:30 p.m. Revision in mathematics, English language arts writing, music and drama, guidance and student support services, small classes and individual attention, breakfast and lunch will be provided. But the article says up to last week, only less than 3,000 students were registered for the program. Less than 3,000. When some 9,000 plus persons are in need of this, less than 3,000 registered. We're talking about 10, 11 and 12-year-olds. Who's supposed to register them? They're supposed to get up in the morning and go to take a taxi and go down to the Ministry of Education and register themselves? No. Yeah, apparently that's how it's supposed to work. The parents have no involvement in that. So mommy say, well, I don't have no money to send you to no revision or whatever it is, as the case may be. So the children supposed to find themselves. Now if school was open, you would have found the money, yeah? But you're telling yourself, well, hey, school closed for 2 months. Right, so that money that I normally spend on passage, I could use that for something else. So I'm not going to use that now to send them to no revision class. Forget that. I'm not interested. But it's not poor parenting that's responsible for what's happening now. And because when your child come home with things that don't belong to them, you ain't asking a question where that come from. And we always say, back in the days, if you come home with a pencil, an eraser, or anything that your parents know they didn't buy, if you carry it back, where you get that? You're working somewhere? Who gave you that? Take it back. But gone are the days for that, right? We don't believe in that no more. We don't practice that. Because when your child come home with it, well, that's one less you have to buy. So it's okay. You're not interested to know where they get it from, how they get it, forget that. Right. So your child is a bully in school, and they call you in to talk to you, and you're going to sit down with the principal. Yeah. So what does he do? So the child who he bullying, what them doing him? You know what? You're pretending that you're interested, and when you reach back home, nah, don't let nobody take no advantage of you. If it is anybody come play the lashing you, knock them out, and then I will make the jail for you. That's what you have parents telling the children today. Knock them down, I will make the jail for you. Don't let nobody take advantage of you. Right? But it's not poor parenting that causing that. So your child not doing very well in school, and they show no inclination towards academia, and they work, you know what, wherever yes, if you don't want to go to school, I do business. At least I send him and I do the best that I could. And if it is she going to school and what she's studying, his boyfriend will tell hell with her, where what me do? I beat she, and it's the same thing, I can't do nothing else. So I responsible until she 18. I responsible until he reach 18, and after that, my responsibility ends. They offend for themselves. I didn't go to secondary school. Me I no set up passes, but I ain't doing too bad. But it's not poor parenting that causing that, right? Your son lying on the block. You send him to school, but he come home smelling stronger weed, smelling like cigarette. You're asking him what is going on. You're not interested to know where it is he went for the day. You're not interested to know. So he come home, he have homework, you ask him that. You do your homework? Yes, mommy, you're right. Mommy, I'm going on the road there. You go on the roadway. You ask him that. You go on the block. Right? Drive by shooting, bullets fly. He pick up a shot. Now you're concerned. You're asking them questions. Right? But you have people like Mr. Lewis here, wants to paint the picture about the PNM turning their backs on Laventille and the PNM turning their backs on the East-West corridor. Really? I have made the point before, and I will repeat it again. Anytime the PNM is in power and they do anything that hints at affirmative action, they put in place any kind of program that is intended or even hints at being intended to help PNM people, you have a lineup of UNC lawyers and UNC activists waiting in the wings to run to the Equal Opportunities Commission and run to the courthouse to claim that the PNM engaging in discrimination, that they only putting things in place for their own and to the exclusion of UNC supporters. That's what they're saying, right? But when the UNC in power and they do it, all PNM people doing is calling the radio station. Aisha, you see, them Kamla and them only doing things for their own people. Pastor Google, that's all they're doing, and that's where it ends. We gripe on the radio station, right? And that's it. We go on Facebook and we comment under the post, and that is it. But nobody from the PNM running to the Equal Opportunities Commission. No PNM lawyers looking to run to the courthouse to claim discrimination when the UNC in power. And so they could do what they want and get away with it. But when the PNM in power, oh yes, you have people waiting to bring an end to it. The Homestead Program under the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service, Foster Cummins, right? Up and down the place trying to promote this thing. 200 youths to get land, training in agriculture, money to start agriculture so that and a starter home, right? To keep them out of a life of crime so that they could engage in entrepreneurship. Rather than looking to work for somebody, they could earn their own income and actually provide employment for their colleagues. The UNC have a problem with that. Oh, it's land grabbing and the PNM just want to give away land to their people. That's what they're saying. Who defending that program? So other than Foster Cummins, I don't know, call the radio station, that's everything. Right. And that's where it ends. But if it was UNC, night and day. But that's the problem. And that is why people like Theodore Lewis can write this trash, this nonsense that has no basis in fact whatsoever. And he will get away with it. I see the ads coming up. When I come back on the other side at 12 o'clock, we will continue the discussion. I'll just take a few minutes of your time. Stay locked.
Boss ladies of soca for me, please. All you know, right now, I want to pick up the queen of soca right now. I want to pick up one of the queens of soca right now. I want all you to make some noise for one of my favorite songs for the season. All you make some noise for Patrice Roberts for me, please. Pleasant good night to everyone. Put your hands in the air. Put it up, put it up. How you feeling? Tonight, I want to see your hands in the air. this song right now. Say, all of my property, all of my money, oh, it not mean anything if I don't have you. Cause you are my everything, and I'm gonna do anything. Go put that on everything, oh, for you. Everybody sing if I give you all my love, would you? This time, cherish it and never let me know. Cause you're not gonna find someone to love you better. If I want it, babe, you sing. Make I go love you. Cha-cha, cha-cha. Make I go love you tender, tender, tender. Make I go love you cha-cha, cha-cha, cha-cha. Make I go love you tender, tender, oh, tender, oh. I love you eternal, eternally, eternally, eternally. I love you eternally. Hey, oh, I love you eternal, eternally, eternally, eternally. I love you eternally. Together, love. Out in the deepest ocean, to show my devotion. You know, see me open like a window, my love. I go all for you. You know, see me feel you. Baby, nobody that good. You sing now, look, if I give you all my love, and would you? Would you cherish? Would you cherish it and never let me know? Let me go. Cause you're not gonna find someone to love you better. If you believe in love, put your hands in the air. Hands in the air. Sing. Cha-cha, cha-cha, cha-cha. Make I go love you tender, tender, tender. Everybody waving love. Cha-cha, cha-cha, cha-cha. Make I go love you tender, tender, oh, tender. I love you eternal, eternally, eternally, eternally. I love you eternally. Hey, say, oh, I love you eternal, eternally, eternally, eternally. I love you eternally. Say, you give me plenty, plenty love, plenty, plenty love. Oh, my friend, give me plenty, plenty love, plenty, plenty love. Plenty, plenty, my love. Plenty, plenty love. Plenty, plenty, my love.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 125 Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. For the program, Health and Healing, merging the old with the new with Mr. Brent's Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services on the Street 919 FM.
Join Pastor Kelvin Heinerine and friends for The Way, The Truth, The Life Radio Ministry, a Church of God ministry, live on the Street 919 FM from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. This and every Sunday on the Street 919 FM. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father except through me. John chapter 14, verse 6. For further information, contact 686-3845, 349-5178, or 342-7303.
What is Apex? It is the pinnacle of high-performance vision through a lens. It's clarity, no matter what angle you look at. It's comfort, no matter what you do all day, every day. And it's customized with every digital measurement your eyes require to see at their very best. Apex Digital Lenses by Value Optical, the ultimate lens design for your eyes. Value Optical, expert care for your eyes.
Hi, what's up, TNT? This is Wayne Johnson out of Brooklyn, New York. I always wanted to do something back home, and we're going to be doing our gospel segment on Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM. Listen what I want you to do. Spread the word. Spread the word, TNT. Salvation
full and free. Salvation is for everybody.
Mondays from 10 p.m. to 12 midnight. That's 10 p.m. to 12 midnight on 91.9 FM.
If you're experiencing pain, constipation, headaches, poor blood circulation, high or low blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, swollen or darkened feet, come visit us at Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. We at Health and Wealth Lifestyle offer a wide range of services. Come and experience our new 3D analyzer, which allows you to have a look inside your body. We also provide live blood analysis, iridology, ionic foot detox with foot soak and foot massage, aquatherapy, full body massage, and organic supplements on sale such as nano silver, nano zinc, body light, cold pressed sesame oil, and more. Health and Wealth Lifestyle, located at number 73 Eastern Main Road, Barataria, opposite Eastern Credit Union. For more information, call 275-8359 or 288-1108.
Join Nicole Huggins for Health and Wealth Lifestyle every Monday from 9:05 a.m. to 9:55 a.m. right here on the street 919 FM.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Due to a drain, he says, has narrow tunnels, which does not allow water to flow freely and quickly after heavy rainfall. Chandaban, a security officer, was at work when the rain came down on Friday and as such could not secure his home.
When the water came in, we had nobody home. I went to work. Right? And the madam went out. Right? She went by she mother. So I passed some big shop and come. When we come in, we had to walk in with them to run through the water to reach home. It was real tough because I had a Friday thing stinging. I had to walk with my full uniform with boots, everything on my foot.
The rain caused water to rise to waist high, covering the roadway. He said when this occurs, it takes approximately 3 days for the water to subside.
Nobody can come out to go to work, nothing. You know, by the time we go 5 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 in the morning, the distance I go into work, right? And I can't walk through the water, it has to make it a scorpion and Santa, please.
The affected homeowner said the cause of the flooding are narrow cylinders in a drain which were placed there 6 years ago. He said he has complained to the regional corporation and his member of parliament to no avail.
If this tunnel in front of me here was wider, this water going down already. But due to the narrowness of the tunnel, the water can't flow properly. If you see downstairs, the street are downstairs. Couch, the washing machine, everything in a mess downstairs.
Mr. Chandaban said he is fed up of the runaround and is once again pleading with the authorities to help him.
Right. Every year, yeah, people complaining about that. And whose constituencies? Not the PNM. UNC constituencies. Right? They were in power for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. Highest energy revenues in this country's history. But yet still, every year, persons who belong to the constituencies controlled by the United National Congress have to be complaining, running to the media to complain they lost millions of dollars in crops because of flooding and poor drainage. Millions of dollars in damage to their property and the loss of appliances and furniture and so on. Perennial floods every year. But Mr. Lewis doesn't see the need to write an article claiming UNC neglect of these constituencies. No. Because when these things happen, it's the government they look into to provide financial support to get them back on their feet. You know, whatever state agency. So the government has to set aside money now to provide grants to these persons to help them to get back their furniture and get back their appliances and to clean out their homes and so on. Normally when these floods take place, you see the UNC running big truck. Remember Jolene during the 2020 election when there was some rains in La Hoqueta? Bring stove and fridge and all kind of thing. And what happened now? They went PNM constituencies in 2020. Well, look, this guy plays flood out, and he's just one of several who suffered flood losses in the last few days, in the last week or so. How come Jilly not in this constituency in Barrackpore giving out stove and fridge to these people. Huh? But Mr. Lewis want to talk about PNM neglect and PNM abandonment of PNM constituencies, in particular Laventille East and Laventille West, Sealots and Beetham. Yeah? Now the schools on the East-West corridor and the PNM constituencies, they're failing, they're not doing well. Right, well last I checked, the East-West corridor included Port of Spain. St. Mary's is in Port of Spain, CIC, St. Joseph Convent. St. Joseph and Port of Spain is on the East-West corridor. Fatima, East-West corridor. QRC, East-West corridor. Right? But apparently when we talk East-West corridors, only in the East, we're forgetting about the West. Yeah? So nothing good happening in the East. It's not poor parenting. Not at all. When it is that we have teenage pregnancies. No, it's not poor parenting that's responsible for that. It's Keith Rowley who send them. And? Yeah. Not poor parenting at all. That you fail to discipline your children or to set ground rules in your house so your children know if they mess up what the consequences will be. Because I've always made the point, I grew up in a single parent home. It was my mother and 5 of us. My father died when I was a year and 10 months. Right? My mother had and my sister who died recently, she was just 9 months old. And my other 3 siblings were all under the age of 15. And all of us did well. Right? Nobody ended up behind bars. Nobody ever had a case, well, except for one of my brothers who, while he was in school, got into a fight with one of his colleagues and ended up hitting the boy a 2x4 in his head, and the guy ended up in the hospital. But he recovered, thank God, and there were no charges pressed. But we all did well. Single parent home. My mother didn't go to say, all right, well, I need to get a stepfather for my children or whatever it is. She raised all of us on her own. But she set rules. And we knew what time it was. That if it is, you step out a line, as she used to say, it's Cassius Clay. How many times I see my mother jack up my big brother on the wall, let him know who is man in this house. Me. And if you don't like how I conduct myself under my roof, if you don't want to abide by my rules, you know what to do. Find your own. How much cut tail we get? So we know when she said, this is what it is, this is what it is. I sending you all to school to learn to get an education, not to look for no boyfriend and girlfriend. Forget that. When you all finish and you get your education and you're working, if it is that you want to look for a relationship, fine. But as long as you're under my roof and you're going to school, I don't want to hear nothing about that. I don't care if your friends going on the islands and they having lime and party by who house. I'm not sending you to school for that. You're not going anywhere. That is how it was. Set the law in your house. Let your children know what time it is. But no, parents today, you want to be a child friend. Huh? So forget licks, spare the rod, spoil the child. So now you want to take away the phone, the cell phone, and you want to take away the iPad and the tablet, and you figure that is discipline. And for you, that is discipline. That's how you're disciplining your children. Right. But you get called in school because they're misbehaving, and what you do? Not one damn thing. Huh? You find ways to blame everybody else, but not you. You ain't taking responsibility. So your child come home, pregnant, your daughter pregnant, underage. Rather than you go and report the man to the police, you ain't want nobody to know your shame because you don't want nobody to know your daughter pregnant. Right? So the man get away scot-free. Abortion. Or if it is that but that is not poor parenting. So now the very people, some of these very persons who find themselves behind bars, how many single mothers that you have out there and the child father behind bars for murder, right? For attempted murder and some other crime. That's what they're looking for. Gunman. I want a man who's a shooter, right? Because everybody afraid of him. Your child coming home, works no way and draws no pay, but he coming and bringing money for you. Where you get that? Oh gosh, mommy, you like thing, eh? Just take the money now. Well, no, I just asking now, gosh. Right, and that's the first and last time you have anything to ask. And the money coming all the time and you happy. You don't care where it coming from. You know you have a gun home inside under the bed. Boy, if police come inside here, it's saying, oh gosh, mommy, oh gosh, I just leave it for a little while. Right. And that is it. But that's not poor parenting. You know your son selling weed. Have it inside. When they come calling, you and all selling it when he not home. Mommy, so and so come in there, you just give him a little, well, I don't know, I think it's call it a 5-piece or whatever. I don't know. They're selling weed like it's KFC, 2-piece, 5-piece, 10-piece. Yeah? You give him that for me now, you collect the money now. Boy, and that's it. But that's not poor parenting. No, that's PNM fault. It's PNM caused that. And so the opportunities that the PNM present and for them to avail themselves of. They ain't taking, because that, I'm not interested in that. Easy money. Easy money is what I want. I want a corporation work. I could go to work in the morning and I work for 5 hours and I show at the end of the fortnight I get a pay. And the rest of the day I could do whatever it is I want. That is the P&M fault. And how no poor parenting in that. Because apparently when they push out a child now, is the government, from that day on, what is the government responsibility for everything that happened to them? Government. So if they end up with the wrong crowd, blame the government for that. Because the government didn't provide schooling. And so you decide that you want to embrace poverty, or that you want to normalize poverty. So you don't want really to make better for yourself. So as long as you could put food on the table and pay a few bills, that is all you're contented with. And not considering the consequences that it has on your children. But is the government responsible for that? That is Keith Rowley's fault. And whoever come after Keith Rowley. So that was Eric Williams' fault. That was Patrick Manning's fault. George Chambers' fault. Keith Rowley's fault. It's them fault. It's not Kamla's fault and it's not Robinson's fault. No, it's not Pandey's fault either. It's only the P&M prime ministers. It's their fault. But UNC constituencies, nothing wrong with that. All their constituencies, all the children in those constituencies doing well. It have no P&M children in that in those constituencies. No P&M households in those constituencies, right? So it's only the P&M households and P&M constituencies not doing well. But the other P&M supporters in Siparia, in Faizabad, Oropuch East and Oropuch West, were in the same schools. In South, Presentation College, Naparima Girls, all of this Presentation, Shogunas and all of that, right? Anyway, it's P&M abandonment that caused that. P&M gave Despas a place on, what street is that? George Street or somewhere there where they're supposed to be building up and 14 million or something they set aside. Well, they had an issue with that. But listen to Theodore always talking about, Despas had to run from Lavantil and they can't go back there and whatnot and stuff. Who run them? When the opportunity presented itself for them to go back, they did not indicate that they because people didn't want to go there. But they got something now, and I think it's George Street or somewhere there. 14 million set aside. The UNC had a problem with that. Oh, they're taking taxpayers' money to go and build things Panyard, and they could tell you everything else that 14 million could have spent on, other than to help to build a home for Despas. But you're always going to talk about that. P&M neglect. So apparently, George Street is not in a P&M constituency. That's not part of East Dry River area there. Neglect. $14 million. You know how much employment opportunities that is going to present there? $14 million. But that's P&M neglect. P&M don't care about Despas. And they care. Look, 3420081, 46653991. I don't cuss, and I really don't want to start this morning. But you see this kind of drivel, this trash, 2 hours is not enough for me to really go deep into that. So I will revisit it later on in the week, probably on Tuesday. Hello, good morning. Good afternoon, sorry.
Dominic. Oh, God, my brother. Good afternoon. Cooking with Dominic, Street 919 FM. Dominic, you couldn't say it, boy, better, boy, brother. You're really straight out today, boy, brother. I live within the Siparia area. Siparia, which is a lone P&M in this area. Dominic, do you believe that you went so further? I should have home 1 month now, boy. To a P&M, boy, Dominic, boy. P&M within the UNC, boy, dog, boy. I should have home on the bread line, boy, Dominic, boy. Hey, brother, boy, I'm a caller. I see Justin and Sharon Felix program too, boy, Dominic. Mr. Sharon Felix, Professor, good morning, Pastor Guru, Robert Precious, and Miss Iwer, and to the boss, that the foreman have a say in this station, which is Mr. Iwer George and Prince George, Mrs. George. Thank God for the foreman have a say. Dominic, after the home, 1 month over, not coming in. I am an Indian, living in St. Patrick, Siparia. Siparia, what they say is Kamla area and things, boy. You don't see them people around our place, boy. By the time I go, I have to get in there. I'm great to be here. Our Prime Minister and the great Mr. Christopher, great Christopher, Rowley, boy. And and any member. And you know, my favorite minister, by Dominic, now is Paris. Paris is the only man stand up for Dr. Rowley when he was in opposition. Dear boy, Paris. And you know who I going to put to fight Samla? I wish Paris, the PDP want to go on and fight Rowley down there, right? I will put Paris in Siparia. And I willing to do a PNM party group at my home in the middle of Samla and area, boy, down on it. So great in Paris, boy. Paris Harari is my boy. So Dominic, have a good evening.
You too.
Yeah, man.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Hi, good afternoon.
You said so much. There's nothing more to say. You know, last Thursday I had my note all ready because I have to take note based on what you talk about.
Yes.
You know, I'm saying that, you know, I don't know so many educational learning institutes in this country. And you have these so-called learned, because they think they learned, they're well learned.
Yes.
Well cultured. Because somebody speaks so much cheapness. That's why they hear everything. And you know who they want to fool? They talk about the PNM not taking after the people who haven't told them. And guess who they targeting to hear that? All them. So when they get that rubbish in their head, that's all they know. We ain't doing nothing. What are they doing? I want them to know how our country runs. Just have a piece of land and put nothing in it. The people are the one to build a country. People who close down all the farm areas that Mr. Manning put in place. And all the learning institution that you talked about that they did not want to go. Who put that in place? Not Mr. Manning?
Yes.
So where did Lewis get his information from? Did he do any research at all? Did he read some book, look at some newspaper like people normally do? If I hear something, I go and I try to look at some newspaper. If somebody send an article, I go and search to see something to know the truth. And like you said, yeah, I went up to the shrine some time ago and I see some SUVs. They line that street there. Dominic, the woman have to reverse for somebody to park because there are so many beautiful houses and cars. The view up there is so beautiful. And he talked about the area that he love and tell people, I want him to go to Carenage. I think it's opposite the post office or something like that on the bay. One family was living there. Now it's a village. I don't know where the waste going. And in all the parks in Trinidad and Tobago, see how people live there and who are the people living there. You think they're complaining? Laventille and Mover. They're right next to the city, prime property. And like you said, if they don't do anything about it, them or their parents, who they expect to do for them? Me, who had to get up early in the morning, make sure things are taken care of my grandchildren, which I help out now because I had taken care of my children. So, you are responsible people. The UNC and they talk about, well, I have my notes, I don't have it with me now. They have taken away everything. They take away the farming. Who they give it to? Who they give the farmland to? Right? And
the mega farms.
And all the lease that they have given out, did they give it to people in Lavender? And they're fooling them, Dominic, because they're sending their children to school, you know?
Yep.
They're sending their children to school and they're doing all these short courses. So you want to tell me right in Port of Spain, all those free courses, they cannot get up, like you said, they cannot get up, or their neighbors. But who really paying these people, Dominic, to talk so much nonsense?
Yes.
And to go and fool the people. You have people killing people and you're not going and tell them anything, but when the police appear, you vex the police trying to stop it.
Yes. Yeah.
And they attacking the police, they're encouraging the people to attack the police by telling them the police is wrong. They don't understand that. God help La Trinity. Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you. Jenny.
Hi, good afternoon, Dominic.
Aye,
Good
aye.
afternoon to callers and listeners on 91.9. When a child under the age of 18, from the east-west corridor, any area that is predominantly a PNM constituency, gets into any type of problem, whether in school, with the law, whatever, who do they ask for? Don't they ask for the parents or guardians? Do they ask the child, I need to get the member of parliament? I need to get the prime minister to come in because his constituency will us vote for PNM?
Yes.
They just ask for the parents. So I'm putting it in context, a responsibility of a parent. We like to say that PNM like to keep people helpless and it's a gimme. The opposition does say that only social welfare program and get them this, they get them due, they get them that. And on the same hand, they just turn around now and say that PNM don't help nobody in the constituency. I don't get it. They're talking about nothing the PNM not doing or anything like that. As you pointed out, the homestead program. That is an opportunity, not only for African children, but I guess they feel it's only African children will get through with it because it's a PNM thing, and it's a minister from the East-West corridor, namely La Hoqueta Talparo. So that program is only African children will succeed. So they're fighting on that, gigantic fighting on that. And that is an opportunity for a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago in the ages of 18 to 35 to go and study formally to do agriculture, practical on the land. You get, when you finish, you get a piece of land, you get to start a home, and you get some money to help you start a business. Instead of that, they're saying they come to take we land as if it's strangers. Anything this government, PNM government, put in place, it is always seen as it being put in place for African people. And then they have some African people fighting it down and the opposition in the background choking them to do it. They speak anytime they have to speak about anything negative in this country. They look at Laventille, Beetham, Sealot, and environs. Because of the fact like they can't get over the fact in 33-3 that is those areas would have kept PNM alive. So it's like everything negative, they look at them. They don't look at the positives. Have they ever done a survey? Nigel, what do you name the pollster man? And all who do polls and the scientific
Nigel Henry, yeah.
Why don't they go into those areas and see the level of successes? Because I am seeing, and I know people personally from Beetham and environs who have done well in academics and in other spheres of life. And they grew up in single family home with a mother and home. They grew up in having much in the same Beetham and the Sealots and the John, and they have done extremely well. But why is it they continue just to portray Beetham as the beacon of crime and Laventille as the beacon of crime? Down south and Pinal and Cypria Harrell crime too. Look at just see on the papers this morning, an Indian girl who was in jail for 12 years for manslaughter. She ran for refugee out in the UK and all that. They don't promote them things. They don't show it. They don't show the African and the Indians, in fraud and in thief and in land crime. They don't show that. The papers don't put that. But as you hear crime, the first thing you see in front is a youth from Laventille, a black youth from Laventille, a black youth from here, a black youth from Sealand, and it's PNM. How has crime become only a PNM problem? Isn't crime a people problem? Isn't crime from the homes? Isn't crime from the community, from the schools, from the churches? Doesn't everybody have a part to play in helping with crime? The government has the part to play, of course, the legislature, to make sure that the security services get what they need. But who runs the security service? Not the commissioner of police. Who runs the other areas, the PCA and the all these professional standard bureau? Is the PNM running, the government running that? So again, I'm saying, what is the reason they continue to highlight Beetham and the areas that traditionally vote for PNM as crime-ridden and downtrodden and they poor, and have some of the residents and all buying into the crap? And the first thing they just come out and say, well, we start fighting, PNM give we nothing, run the PNM. They don't ever come out and say, Curry Marcel, he finished, he's a lawyer now, and Miss Wilson doing business, and Miss Julia Davis is a big writer, and all the other successes in Beetham and Laventille and Silla. They don't start with them things first. They start with the crime and then everybody who undecided, jointly with the decided and say, yes, they in crime. So all you don't see about Laventille and beat them all that, they gun tie in the road. You don't see them when they put on the cap and the gong and stand up, going up for the masters and the doctorate and bachelors. So we have to reprogram the way they think about Laventille and Beetham and this area. And the people in those areas who are successful have to also come out and rebrand and stop making the few negative, because that is not the whole of Beetham and Silas and all those things. The things that happen in Beetham and Silas is not unique or unusual. Do you not think in the Syrian community it doesn't have bacchanal and kutru, but them don't come out and talk about it? Do you not think it has thieving going on there, and who with who woman and who with who man and who throw with child and all? These things are not unique to a particular race. It's a human thing. But certain community that keep it quiet. Do you not think in the Indian community they plague with crime and with thieving and the children ain't doing good and the boy ain't doing good in school and the girl only running down man and the girl only making child and he drinking and he beating the wife and he smoking weed and he smoking cigarette? You think those things not happen in those communities? But they pull ranks and they close in and the media to highlight it. But anything that happens in the African community, you make it look as if something in we DNA and it's from we it comes from and it's we. It is not a we. It is a close. When you look at any history of Trinidad and Tobago, the biggest crime, men, murderers, thieves, anything you can think about is people who have Indian name. Me didn't say so. The history show that. So again, I want to tell you people of Beetham, Laventille, Lone area, do not let the people determine how you all end up. Do not people determine all their narrative. Don't let them be the author of all your story. Always take charge of all your story and show people what all they really made of. And it's not what we'd be seen on the TV and what they put in the papers. Dominic, reach them safely. Have a blessed one. Bye.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you, Jenny.
Well said. Well said. But I just want to remind people like Theodore Lewis, right, that the guns that these guys have, the same areas that you're talking about, they importing it, they bringing the guns in, who putting it in their hands? Why they not going down in Kamla constituency and Munilal constituency and giving those guys the guns? Talk about that. It's PNM abandonment caused that, right? Yeah. Now they're talking about drugs and who's selling drugs. Who bringing it in? Who bringing it? And why is it? Anyway, that's a discussion for another time. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dominic.
Hey, Gemma.
Dominic, this is a nice piece of work by Mover Junction that the PNM just complete.
Yes.
I hear you looking about that.
Yes.
And also, Kareem Marcel, he's from the BCAM, and he was accepted in the bar as a lawyer. And he's from the BCAM. His mother is a big PNM. You understand? I wonder if Mr. Lewis demanded, or whatever he means.
Yes.
I wonder if he know that he's talking out such a negative things about the PNM and the East-West corridor. But it doesn't see that my grandson, I have a grandson, grew up in Maloney, and he going to Queen's Royal College, is where he passed exam for, and he grew up in Maloney. They like to condemn these areas. They're watching at what bad happened there and talk about it. But the good things, they're not doing that. And Mr. Foster coming and doing such a lovely work for the youth. And who trying to stop him? Who trying to stop him? Let me tell Lois what all of that was taking place. Okay, Dominic?
Thanks, Gemma.
The Mercado talk to you, eh?
Yes.
Right. I'll call you after the program.
All right.
Okay. Right.
Hello, good
Dominic,
afternoon.
good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Calling from Iwer, Princestown.
Yes, sir.
The editorial that you read are from the Joker.
Yes.
I wonder if he has any children or if he has any nephews or nieces. So, if they should give him any problem, he would have to call Dr. Rowley or Minister Hines to help him.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, when you make your children nowadays in Trinidad, it appears from the time they're born, 2-3 years, Dr. Rowley has to go in every home and guide them.
Yeah.
These people are so ridiculous. Okay, there are so many now the UNC areas. There are people who catching their nene and their auntie and their great grandmother too. So why he didn't write his editorial on, let's say, Shaguana's Endeavor, 500, because is down there isn't a PNM area.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Neither Cooper.
Enterprise, where it have all the crime. Yeah, that's
No, well, it appears to me Enterprise belongs to the PNM.
Yeah.
Enterprise belongs to the PNM.
Yes.
You see, the only piercing the eyes on Lavanti. Because you know why? Only African lives in those areas, Dominic.
Yeah.
And they will do everything in their power, everything, as Jenny now mentioned, they'll do everything and anything to pull down African race.
Yeah.
They'll do everything, and even our own race, because I know this Lewis guy, whosoever he is, he isn't an Indian, neither Douglas, neither French. I won't believe. He may not say he's a black man like me, but I mean, I want to believe he's African.
Yes, he is.
And Dominic, well, now as the AG went and he spoke to those guys, I wonder if they will still walk out on him now in Parliament, boy. I wonder, boy.
Yeah.
Now as he fix that. Yeah, because remember that fix now,
Yeah.
And they were fighting nothing.
Correct.
Dominic, because as a lot of callers say, and the braces and they're shining for them,
Yeah.
And they know with this gentleman there. And one more thing, the ADB years ago under UNC, man, they give them money, the farmers money. We shouldn't be importing things, but no, they build best house, best vehicle, right? And then we plant maybe a quarter acre of short crops, and I tell you, but when rain flood, even though they already read the harvest, they want money for that, Have a nice day, Dominic. Nice show, Michelle.
Thank you. Hello, good afternoon.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Dominic.
And a happy new year to you, sir.
How are you, sir?
I am good. How are you good?
I like the humble and quiet. I see well there, right? I'll be under your blanket this morning. You will see the weather.
I would have liked that.
Good. Blessings to you, Mr. Dominic. Dominic?
Yes, sir.
We have to be very conscious and wise of what's taking place in this nation. Remember, we had a government tell we once they ain't win, it's going to be blood in the streets of Trinidad and Tobago, Dominic.
Right.
And we take this thing and watching this thing simple, like it's just a word, but Dominic, it's not a word, The people who demonstrating about crime and the PNM this and the PNM that, these are the people that committing the most heinous crimes in this nation, Mr. Dominic. We ain't seeing, like we just watching blindly and they don't want to understand what is going on in this nation, Mr. Dominic. This is the problem we having. We have our opposition. We paying our opposition to walk out the parliament, Dominic. We paying people where the government bringing laws.
Yes.
To deal with certain situations in Trinidad and Tobago, and people walking out the parliament and taxpayer dollars paying these people, Dominic. So what we expect? What we expect? When the Prime Minister say what he had was to say, the man ain't saying it wrong, Dominic.
Yeah.
Dominic, any conversation I get in and people talk about crime in Trinidad and Tobago or the discipline of the children, I just tell them, I say, who spoil them? Dominic, who spoiled them? You used some words there a while ago with the upbringing you had, Dominic.
Yes.
Dominic, and today, tomorrow, you have your generation, not the same thing you're passing down to them, Dominic.
That's right. Exactly.
What we did with it, Dominic? Dominic, you can come if a neighbor give you a sweetie coming home in my times, Dominic, and I know in your times too, because you say it already. You can't come home sucking that sweetie. You're making sure you eat that before you reach home.
Yes.
Because you can't tell them the neighbor gave that because they didn't send you out the road for the neighbor to give nothing. And what we do? Oh gosh, I can't let me try and grow up the way I grow up in a hard life, you know, and I can't let me try and grow up so, and I can't do this, and I can't do that.
Yes.
And what we get into this, not the rebellion we get into this, not the same undiscipline you didn't want to put in your house as we come into face here today, Dominic.
That's right.
A man telling me a time, Dominic, his own son, telling him he can't live in his house. Yeah? You have a child and the child telling you you can't live in your house?
Yes.
In your own house where you sweat and work hard and build? Who caused that? Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley?
Eric Williams.
Yeah. Mr. Patrick Manning?
Yeah.
Mr. George Chambers? Them caused that. And we have an unruly opposition showing the citizens, the children in Trinidad and Tobago how to misbehave, and they come talking about PNM this and PNM that. Dominic, in my time growing up, it didn't have no trade, one trade school I know it was Barcelona Trade Center. Anytime you want to learn something, shoemaking, tailoring, mechanic, it's by somebody who doing something they send you there. The PNM come and put in multitude of things there for children to go when the time come. $1 million. There's always talk that the $1 million trade center on the Eastern Main Road, Dominic. What happened there? A little youth from the same Beacom estate leave to go to learn something. He went in the morning and the most he reaches the gate the evening. Who created that? Dr. Rowley? Dominic, we as a people and as you rightfully say, we just sit down and let these people say what they want to say, and we doesn't come out and let them know, hey, all your talking there is rubbish. Yeah, we doesn't batter down these people. We just only let them say that and let them say this. And we stay quiet and they keep saying what they want to say. That's why Miss Camilla Posad Bissessa could have said what she wanted to say. Yes. Dominic, we have to get ourselves together and understand the time we live in, yeah? So, Mr. Dominic, you have a peaceful one, big brother.
You too, sir.
Be safe on the Nation Road, and you be safe from your please till Tuesday, Jaggy Health and Strength, yeah?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Morning, Miss Jenny. Blessings. Yeah, Mr. Dominic.
Yes, sir.
All the blessings.
And to you. Hello,
Mr. Dominic.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good morning, sir.
Greetings.
I did, boy. Boy, Mr. Dominic, I have a little short contribution to make. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago TNT. Dominic, you know what? I even hear about this development of East Port of Spain. I know, that you know the wharf coming up to Slipways going up there had to be extended to the lighthouse going up there.
Yes.
Dr. Williams and them decided to move some of the people down in Beetham, put housing for him up, going up, move up by Juan.
Yes.
You know, it's people from down there who went and go and tell them don't move either. They said don't move. When the development of e-sport of Spain started now, you know, when Mr. Lennox Smith and a long hair Rasta lady, I know they said he come from the States. Carry them fellas on TV. I from young, I used to go along there. And put it in people's head that when you see all you move from there, they develop from here, all you can't get back, no house there. Tell them don't move either, you know.
Yes.
So you see, the same people, the same African man like them opposition people come and them send them there to go and throw gravel in the poor man. I tell them this is what they're going to do. Or you can't get no house there, so don't bother. Anything the PNM government do, they tell. The gentleman talk about the technical school going up by Eastport on the Eastern Main Road there.
Yeah.
Who it was for? You're getting travel money, you're getting free equipment, you could roll free inside of there. And what they did, half of them can't leave visitors gauges to go to school. People leaving from Pike, Dabadi and Arima and attending to that technical school. And we fellas have been right to the back of it, them can't go because they're fighting one another.
Correct.
You put them against each other, and these fellas up there ain't seeing that. And they have people telling them, they ain't get all you nothing. How they ain't get all you nothing? The same thing with the Agriculture Development Bank. When Pigot was Minister of Education, Agriculture, when Manin opened the place up in the back of Tucker Valley up there, the agriculture place, and they bring Cubans to help them develop it. I remember the minister in the opposition party, he went up there and he said, no, he said in Parliament, I didn't know that place was so well developed by those people. And you know what that man do? It wasn't 2 months or 3 months after. You know, he scrapped the whole development plan Manin had with them Cubans on that development.
Yes.
And you know who the man is, you know? Yes. He did that. What they do with the ADB Bank? All of them get land. They get land to plant, and what they do with the land? And that is why you see, man, we have problem now to get back the land, because I know they changed the agreement that the land should not have been sold. So some of them, they get the money, they go and they build house on the property, plant 2 tomatoes, spend the money, and when they're done, they're talking about Trinidad, no government they do nothing for them. Manin and my Prime Minister, William William, do all what they could for agriculture. I remember they bring down goat and things from New Zealand here, you know. The days of buffalo and all kind of thing. Pangola grass, they get out land up in the back of Rima up there with a little house on it with their cow and everything to mine. And today these same people coming back and tell you they never do nothing for them. Come and them destroy this place. And they never do nothing for the people of Trinidad. And all what they do is to go to tell America to sanction we down here for thieving oil. And we never even thief no oil. You like Guaido, you're looking for Bacchanal. You want to bring people here to overthrow government. That is all what they're doing in the country. We're trying to help people with something. Coronavirus, you run and you're appealing 1 million cases up in the court to clog up the court. Nobody case can come through. 57 cases all you're fighting. Government doing the wrong thing for coronavirus. Privy Council to tell you that the government did the best for the people of Trinidad to save life. And today, you have the same union and Kamala and them working against the same government. They have no trust and belief in Trinidad to be on Dr. Rowley and them. The same government saved your union. Dominic, you have a nice day, but a good program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my financial.
Good afternoon, sir.
Well, greetings to have you. I listening over to get you that we have.
Yes.
And, you know, I that fella grew up in the time when Grenada had a missile base and the Grenadian president was assassinated. I grew up in a time when Robinson became prime minister, and when I was an adult, I was working at Kiss Baking Company and coming down Maraval Road and see a man fighting to take off a robe to try to put on a suit and a car with police behind and pulling a little place there and a little shop, a little Chinese there, a shop and here, see on the news, Red House in Town on fire, 1990. They have a lot. The city people, is that they're targeting. Because I have a man on it. That's who they targeted, you know, Bruce, Dominic. They're targeting children that has been born in the year 2000. The young black youths who've been born in the year 2000 and grow up underneath them and get hands up and hands down.
Yes.
You understand my point, my brother?
Yes, yes.
Right. So they go wrong tongue because them wasn't wrong when Mr. Manning said, when Lennox Smith and Hazel Smith, that is the lady name, she come from America, you know.
Yes.
Spend all their life in America and they know nothing and come back to make noise and tell Mr. Manning they ain't moving them.
Yeah.
Right? And today, those who just born and are now 22 are making noise at the government because why? Them grew up in a time when you was in office and give them a baby grant. But they depended on the state, you know. They gave them a baby grant. And then you tell them hands up and hands down. And then you give them live sport. So they sit down and they ain't doing nothing. But I give them CPEP. And here you tell me that when he was painting stone, and when you're done, you come and give me CPEP Marine. And go on with how much million. You tell me no highway, no byway. I tell you, well, a man went in town and went on a hunger strike and nearly died. Then, and when they're done, they come and build the same highway. Instead of 4 inches of asphalt, they give me 2. Instead of flyover, they give me what? Roundabout. All right, you say waterfall. Dominic, how come all of a sudden everybody was getting water underneath them? And when the government changed, them can't get no water.
Yeah.
How that possible, Dominic? So, PNM changed the pipe and direct the pipe down to the east-west corridor because I don't understand that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. PNM, when I was growing up, PNM spent all the money in Lavantil. And Lavantil and then places only gets in everything.
Yeah.
And the same people, they go come back and tell me, look how they live it. PNM all them suffering. PNM used to get them a big back pay. And an old man come here and tell me, yeah, the PNM used to win the election. Every time they used to get them a back pay. I remember a man getting 18,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, Dominic.
Yes.
The most amount of ice cream I've ever seen in my life is a place called Union Hall. It used to be in the middle of which part they call Brian Lara from another long time.
Yeah.
And see man riding coming out from the wharf. Wharfman is the most amount of bicycle I've ever seen. And in them time a motor car was 18,000, 10,000. You know what I'm telling you, brother?
Yeah.
I had an uncle every weekend, he go in Miami, pal. Every weekend, Friday evening, he jump on a plane and he go Miami or Florida. And Monday morning, he back in Trinidad to go back to work on the wharf. You know that? That's how nice we had it in Trinidad and Tobago. But the PNM ain't do nothing for me. Hear what they tell me. I tell them I that Trinidadian. They ain't want me to build no house in Crep. Agricultural land. I say, well, all right, if it's agricultural land, which one all you put up all your company and put up all your money and tell the state all they go take it and do something with it? Not all, yeah? But it's voter pardon. So I'm a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. So PNM only give houses to African people or PNM. So do you see there's no, when you apply that you is a PNM, that the house that you go in and get. You understand what I'm saying, my brother?
Yes.
So why when we go wake up in this place? Dominic, I have an attorney general. No, according to the man, I want to see if they go walk out the parliament. They have a clip on the highest prime ministers in the Caribbean.
Yes.
And that Dr. Rowley, I hear clung, dumb and dumber. Well, I realize a man make real noise and was able to get funding for dumb and dumber to come back. Imagine that, Dominic.
Yeah.
That's how it work out, you know. The man went before the leadership and kneel down and beg to bring back dumb and dumber because he have no voice. So the only place he have a voice is to bring back the two clungs and anyhow. And Dominic, I go.
Yes. Hello, good afternoon.
Yeah, Dominic.
Central.
Just allowed to get you on show, boy. Yeah, I'm not time this man is so. Yeah, Dominic, I was listening lately. I see Costa comments like the man starting to pray, boy.
He's starting to what?
He's starting to pray because every 2 weeks he going to the Baptist church now and he doing some serious prayer with a serious woman called Barbara Book. Yeah, the man doing some good praying, but I wonder why he started to be doing all this prayer, boy.
Okay.
Another thing, Dominic, this you read this article about this Theodore Lewis. This man is a real advocate for black people, and I don't know if you have ever been following him and reading his articles. He just stands out for his black people, you know.
Okay.
probably man see a lot of stupidness going on with the PNM, which he deemed to be a black party. So that's why the man probably vexed and he penned that article.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, you go back and read. He's a regular one of those fellas who does write things like Rafik Shah and them fellas and things.
Yeah.
He does be writing. He says, yeah, Theodore Lewis, I read quite a number of his articles, and most of his articles are Afrocentric. He always supporting his black people. So that again, the man will see a lot of things going on with the so-called black party that he thinks is the PNM, and the man will be vexed.
But I thought,
the
PNM is a 1% party.
Well, that could be it and all.
Okay.
We don't know. That's why the man probably vexed. He maybe see the PNM still doing a lot of support for the 1%. So, and they are looking after. You remember what the man says? When PNM get 33-3 under the NAR, Lavante was one of the 3 seats that the PNM retained.
Right.
So it means to say, come hell or high water, they always vote for the PNM.
San Fernando East too? Or we have no crime there?
San Fernando.
Patrick Manning.
Dominic, most of them criminal activity you see going around the country in different parts is people from up in that area there moving the business.
Okay.
Because look, I was watching a program on TV. They had 4 fellas who live quite up in the north. They come quite central to Rababa, and they hold it.
Oh.
So they're spreading the tentacles. It's not that, it's half crime there and it's half crime there. They're coming across. They're only moving up in their own area. They're coming all over the country.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
And Dominic, it is very unprecedented that our government could give land for agriculture. You could help out. You could with whatever, all the infrastructure. But nowhere in the world I don't hear any government building a house on the agricultural land for people who planting. It's only this thing on that first comment.
Right.
And them 7,000 people who got agricultural land under Patrick Manning and the PNM. I think they should build a house on each one of those land for these people too. You don't think so?
And the Caroni workers too?
I say so, the 7,000 of them. Okay. And all they talk about they close down, UNC closed down this. Is the PNM they closed down Caroni Limited?
Okay.
And is the PNM they closed down Caroni Green because they say it's a high, it's a how much Africans working on Caroni Green, so we close it down.
That's why they say it? It wasn't because of the audit that was done by the then Minister of Agriculture, what was his name, Devant Maraj, that showed there was real corruption in Caroni Green. You want me to read the article for you?
I don't know if it's corruption in Caroni Green.
I'll read the article for you on Tuesday.
No problem, man. All right, Dominic. You're all right.
Yeah. Right. You're out of time, but not out of things to say. Remember that fella who was killed in Beetham a couple years ago? What's his name? But I think police shooter. What's his name? Dole? The man who walked into oh gosh, this car dealership and bought a Range Rover Evoque cash with all the big gold chain around his neck and so on. I remember him. What race was he? Essential? And where he was living? Sealacent? Dole. Remember he? Okay. All right. But it's only, anyway, there's only poverty in Sealats, right? Okay. Yeah, I suppose, anyway, let me not go there. Folks, I said we're out of time, but not out of things to say. I guess Dolce, he was from Beetham too, and then he decided to go down Central and commit crime. Yeah? Yeah, Dolce, he was from from Labatil. Yeah. Boise Singh, who was the brothers and them? Can't remember the name. Pulul or something, so they were from Lavantil too, and they went and commit crime in Central and stuff, right? Yeah, so all the crime taking place in Central and so on is fellas from Beetham and Lavantil who going down there. Yeah. But all the mugshots, I will put it up for Bruce to post it. All the mugshots we see in persons of East Indian descent who committing crime in Central. All of them from Lavantil too in Central. All right, Tuesday for that. Folks, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, the rest of this rainy weekend, and God's willing, I will be back with you all on Tuesday morning, and we will continue the discussion. Yeah? So I'm out.